Hello. Good afternoon. Today our first group. Are you ready? So, first group today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can you go start it?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Can you guys hear me?
We not see your screen, so you show your screen. Yes.
Can you guys see my screen now?
Yeah.
I have share my screen. For a while. Okay. Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. A very good afternoon to all of you, my fellow friends and lecturer. And now I will going to start our group presentation about the strategic analysis. We are the group members from University of Malaya. I'm Chong Li Zing, and two of my group mates is Tan Yong Hwan and Maalatis Nadalajan. Okay, now I will start our presentation. Firstly, I'm going to talk about the importance of strategic analysis. In generally, strategy drive the action of an organization. So, why we need to study a firm strategy is because in the firm strategy can provide the information about we can going to understand about what is actually will drive the rate, profitabilities and competitive advantage. And secondly, we can know about the basis for forecasting for the future's performance of a firm. And lastly, in the strategic analysis, we able to measure the success of a firm's action. Okay, and now I will going to show you guys about the concept about this strategic analysis presentation. The concept is focused on these four concepts. The firstly is the importance of industry level analysis, the Porter 5 force framework for industry analysis, and also the competitive strategic analysis of the firm. And lastly, the last concept is about the corporate strategic analysis for multi-business organization. Okay, now I will going to talk about the importance of industry level analysis. Basically, the type of industry will totally impact the firm strategic. And after that, we also need to understand both the environment and competitive force in order to help us in evaluating the quality of a particular firm strategy. And then in this strategy analysis, we can know that the Porter 5 force is a very useful framework. And now I will going to introduce you guys about the Porter 5 structures. In this Porter 5 force, there is consists of 5 group of factors. The firstly is about the rivalry among existing firms. And then the second is about the trick of new entrant, and then the trick of substitute product, and also including the bargaining power in input and output market, which is the bargaining power of buyers and also the bargaining power of the suppliers. And then under these 5 main factors, we also will discuss about the sub factor under each main factors. So now I will going to start to present about the first 2 factors in the Porter 5 force framework. Okay, the firstly is about the competitive force 1, which is the rivalry among the existing firms. In this In this rivalry among existing firm factors, we can know that the higher the degree of competition among the firm will actually push the price toward the marginal cost of production, and then will also make the non-price dimension of a product or service become more significant. And under this main factor of rivalry among existing firms, we can see the four main sub-factors under these factors, which is the determinant of the intensity of competition among the firm. The firstly is about the industry group rate. This industry group rate is actually showing the concentration and the balance of the competitors. When the industry is growing very rapidly, that means the existing firm will not need to grab the market share from each other in order to continue the growth. And then for the second sub factors is about the degree of differentiation in product and service and switching costs. For example, the bubble tea in Taiwan have a very low degree of differentiation because actually the bubble tea in Taiwan is in a same group of product segment, is a convenient beverage. And then in this picture is showing the 9 type of famous bubble tea in Taipei city. And then we can know that actually the bubble tea have a very low switching cost because if the consumer want to choose different type of the bubble tea, actually the price is not much different. And then the third factors is about the learning economy and the ratio of fixed to variable costs. And then the last sub factors is about the access capacities and access barrier to let a firm to leave the same market. And then now I will going to present about the second competitive force tool in the Porter 5 force framework, which is the trick of new entrants. Okay, in this factor, we can know that the level of ease for a new firm to enter an industry will totally impact the profitabilities of others firm in the same industry. Under this trick of new entrant, we can also get 4 of the factors that will be affecting the barrier to entrance. Which is the firstly is about the economy of scale. The economy of scale is all about when there are large economies, means the new entrant will face the choice of having either to invest in a large capacity which might not be used right away or to enter with less than the optimum capacity. And then for the first mover advantage, the first mover advantage is all about normally the early entrance in an industry may also impact the future entrants if they are the first mover advantage. For example, the first mover maybe will get the right to set the industry standard or enter into exclusive arrangement with suppliers to get the cheap raw material. And then for the relationship with suppliers and customer, because they are the first batch to enter industry, that means they maybe will have a more stable relationship with their suppliers and customer. And also this will stop the new entrant of the competitors to enter the same market. And then the last legal barrier, the last factor is about the legal barrier. The legal barrier, if there are many industry in with the legal barrier such as the patent and copyright in research-intensive industry will also limit the entrance for SAM industry. For example, there's not easy to open a pharmacy in Taiwan. So normally the pharmacy field in Taiwan is majority by the Watson. So that means Watson is already able to get a copyright or the patents for these pharmaceutical products. That's all for my first 4 factors, and now I will pass my presentation to my colleague, which is Yonghwan. Yonghwan, are you here?
Yeah.
Okay, you can proceed
next.
your presentation. Thank you.
Next we'll talk about trade of substitute product. Just like substitute product is mute your mic listening.
Okay. Wait for a while. Sorry. How to make my
Yeah. Next we'll talk about a trade of a substitute product. Just like substitute product is just the competitor, but not necessarily existing in the market now. For example, let's say I click next. Just like airplane and high-speed rail. Fishing. Okay. For example, I from Taipei I want to go to Kaohsiung. Just like I can take the flight or just take a high-speed rail. Just depend on the consumer preference, but it's also relative to many type of things, that is the price and the service, and also the time. Next is about the tin bottle and the plastic bottle of the Coke or just like the soda drink. Just like the Coca-Cola company can choose either one supplier. For example, is a tin company or just a plastic bottle company to hold their drink. Next. Yeah, especially in some case, trick or substitution is not come from the useless of because of the existing product. Just like example is the email, just and the poster mail. Actually nowadays the person less use the poster mail because many person want to go green and paperless, so they prefer the email, and email is easily to save compared to the poster mail. But at some places, just like they had non-connection of Wi-Fi in Taiwan, just like Hualien, or not Hualien, just like Mountain, they prefer the poster mail. And also some old generation person, they also prefer the poster mail because they don't know how to use the technology now. And when I use back to the Coca-Cola company, just like the tin and the plastic bottle replace the glass bottle, because the glass bottle is easily break and the cost is very high compared to other. And why we want to choose substitute or not, then prefer than original things, because of 3 factors. Firstly, it depends on the relative price and the performance of competing product and service, and also the willingness of customer to accept the substitute. For example, to the high-speed rail and also the airplane, sometimes the airplane will give a promotion discount, and compared to high-speed rail, if you also give a promotion and discount, but the price is very fixed. It's around 2,000 something from Taipei to Kaohsiung. However, if compared to the flight ticket, it maybe can cost 0 or just less than 500 in the promotion time. And so the performance of competing product and service, for example, just like if you take the high-speed rail, you can skip the security check and skip the check-in time compared to the airplane, because when you take airplane, you have the very strict security check before you on board. Just like we prefer the high-speed rail because you just go in the train and without the security check, and willingness of the customer to accept the substitute. Just for this can apply to the portal mail and also the email, because nowadays we also we accept the email for the new generation. However, for the old generation, they can't accept the email because they can't do not use the technology for nowadays. Next. And next is about bargaining. Next, we are about how about the bargaining power of the supplier, of the buyer. Sorry. We have ensured that we have the bargaining power to the supplier, just like we can buy the cheap, buy the lower price supply from the supplier or more material, and also we can ensure that we can selling the higher price to the customer when the customer have a low bargaining power. This is for example. Sorry, there's they have internet connection just now. They have one the industry they have high bargaining power is the automotive industry. Just like we can the big or the big firm, just like because they have big firm, they have import a lot of the raw material from the supplier. And the shipping cost will not high compared to some small company or just like small and medium enterprise. Just like they have the strong bargaining power of buyer from the supplier when compared to the small and medium enterprise, just like the barber shop tea or some breakfast shop, they have low bargaining power from the supplier because they normally they buy just not much raw material from the supplier, and also because of some contract issue, they have low bargaining power compared to the big company. Next, we will talk about the bargaining power of supplier. Actually, it's just similar to the bargaining power of buyer. Just like supplier have bargaining power when they have few substitute or few supplier relative the number customer demanding on the service. If a company have many of supplier higher bargaining power of supplier, because if this supplier cannot produce or provide the service or product they want or just the price they prefer, they can switch the supplier from to another supplier, and the original supplier will prefer lower their price or prefer provide good quality of product to ensure that this customer will not leave. And supplier are powerful. They have many companies and few substitute are available to the customer. Just like we can in Taiwan, they have with low bargaining power. It's just like the maybe automobile company, or just like the what I say is the semiconductor company, right? Just like we semiconductor industry, they have low supplier to produce the iPhone machine, so that it can have high bargaining power to the supplier when compared to in other industries such like the bubble tea shop, sorry. So next, we'll give presentation time to my colleagues, Malati.
Kenapa nenek? Alright, thank you, Young. Good afternoon, guys. So we are going to see competitive strategy analysis. There are two basic components in this analysis. So first is cost leadership, and second one is product or services differentiation. So when we see cost leadership, it is basically about how a company is producing with the low cost. So they will supply same product with lower price. How are they actually able to do this? Is basically they have efficiency in production, simpler product design, lower input cost. So if we see, we have two companies which are producing smartphone, right? So if company A can produce its smartphone with the cost of $500, and another company which can produce around $300, that means the company which is producing with the cost of $300 is actually having a cost leadership that makes them to actually sell their product in a cheaper price, with the same features and something. The second one is product or services differentiation. Supply unique product or services at the cost lower than the price premium. So how are they implementing this? They have superior product quality and variety, superior product delivery, investment in brand image. So how actually in real business they are doing? If we see, we are having a dinner in a shop, in a restaurant, and we are paying for a food for a food which costs around $20, and you see the environment around this place, around the restaurant, we feel comfortable, and we feel comfortable, clean, and if you feel like the 20 ringgit is worth, then they have product differentiation, product or service differentiation. Yeah, that is the thing. So next slide, please. Achieving and sustaining competitive advantage. So choice of strategy is an important step for a firm. The likelihood of achieving and sustaining competitive advantage must be evaluated. So the factors to be evaluated to achieve and sustain competitive advantages are resources and capability to implement the strategy. So if you see a company, if they are planning to have the strategy and make sure the success, make sure they achieve the success and sustain it, they should actually, before they do it, before implementing the strategy itself, they should know whether they have enough resources and are they capable to implement the strategy. Is it short term? Are they capable to implement the strategy in short term or long term? The second is whether the firm's activity, infrastructure, and other operating elements consist with its competitive strategy. So they have to make sure that whether they really have the infrastructure and operating elements which makes them to consistently which they can consistently keep up with their success after they have implemented the strategy. So next slide, please. So there are few characteristics of there are total 3 characteristics of this strategy. The first one is unique core competency. The characteristic make the business stand out of competitors. There are 3 conditions to be met for core competency. The first one is activity. The activities must provide superior value and benefit to the customer. It should be difficult for competitors to replicate or imitate, and it should be rare. So if a company, they want to make their product to be unique, they should have these three main conditions. So example of the company which are actually implementing this characteristic is McDonald's. So you see, normally McDonald's have they have a standardization. So it actually serves 9 million pounds of French fries every day, and every one of them has the same taste and texture. Another company which is implementing this unique core competency is Apple. You see, normally Apple users they can feel the style of it, right? The beauty of its device and the interfaces give them an edge over its many competitors. So mostly the Apple users they feel the style of having Apple. So that's what makes people to choose Apple over all other companies of modern gadget actually. And this is how they succeed through the unique core competency. So the next slide, please. The second characteristic is system of activity. It describes how internal activity of a firm engages, the system of activity. It describes how internal activity of firm engages in convert input into output. Each activities along the chain add value to the product. So example of this characteristic is penetration of low-cost carrier like AirAsia in Malaysia, making the cost to fly from one place to another to become lesser with the different classes of seat. Hence, made its competitor Mars Airlines to reduce the price to compete with AirAsia. Like initially, years ago, Mars was the only airline service in Malaysia. But after AirAsia penetrated the industry, AirAsia provided like services with they have two classes to fly, which is economic and also business class. So if people afford to travel in business class, so they can pay more and have their fly like that. If not, they can actually have it with a low cost. And this makes the competitors to also change their traditional way of conducting the business, and they also try to compete with this AirAsia actually. So the next slide, please. The third is positioning. It is the decision when a company chooses one or two important key areas to concentrate on and excel in those areas. It helps the company to spotlight specific areas where they can outshine and beat their competitors. Basically, a company will choose which field are they going to focus for their company to develop. No? So we see the example here. We can see the example as Digifilm. Digifilm is a company which manufacture camera and film product. They realize the changes in customers' need and become the leader of providing digital camera, cloud storage for photo, and wearable photo technology. So they become, Digifilm actually, they set their position, how to actually shine brighter than their competitors. Right. Next slide, please. Okay, now we are going to see corporate strategy analysis. Okay. Corporate strategy analysis takes a portfolio approach to strategic decision making by looking across all of a firm's business to determine how to create the most value. So the component of corporate strategy is allocation of resources, organization design, portfolio management, strategic trade-off. This strategy is basically more on the the parent company, like that. They actually allocate how much resources are they going to channel to each business that they are having. So example of company applying this concept is Easy Group. Easy Group is a privately owned company that licenses the Easy brand name and holds share in various no-frill, low-cost business. Easy Group is first and primary holding, which is EasyJet, started operating as a low-fare, short-distance travel airline company in 1995. At the year 2000, it placed 28% of its share on London Stock Market Exchange at amount of 224 million euro. So it is basically about the Easy. If we see in this company, EasyShare, actually they allocate the resources for airline industry. Actually, EasyShare, they are actually involved in other business too. They have coffee shop, they have hotel services, and then they are in airline industry. So this group, they know from the corporate strategy analysis, they allocate how much resources actually they're going to channel to each industry, and the design, the organization design, who is going to manage each business and the portfolio management, and also they have the strategy trade-off. Next slide, please. So now we are going to see industry analysis. It consists of identifying the economic factor that derive the industry profitability. Average profit potential is influenced by degree of rivalry, the ease with which new firm can enter the industry, availability of substitute, and the power of buyers and suppliers. So industry analysis is basically about how a firm should analyze the industry to make sure they get a sustainable profit, and also to maximize their profit. They should actually analyze the strength of their company and their weakness, and also the product they're going to sell. So they should know the degree of rivalry, how their rivals are they only the local people, local company, or do they have rivalry from foreign country, like for example, if we take coffee company, if for example from Malaysia we have Nescafe. So for sometimes they import coffee powders from foreign country, right? For example, like Papa Rich, any other brand. So we have to actually see first whether the scope of their rival, is it international only, and so on. And then we should have they should have the knowledge about the substitute that they have, and then only they should decide how actually they're going to promote their product, and so on. Next slide, please. So to summarize this, strategy analysis is important, as it always allows the analyst to probe the economic of the firms at qualitative level. The ability of a firm to earn return on its capital depends on its own strategy. So for a company to get their profit, they should actually revise their strategy. How are they going to make their business work? That's all from us. Next slide, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the PPT just let us learn the some analysis one from the industry and one and the other one from the competitive strategy analysis, and last one the corporate strategy. Okay, so sometimes you find some limitations to industry analysis. You have to use the competitive strategy analysis or corporate analysis. Yeah, so if you use the industry analysis, we know we can to do some research from this competition, actual competition and the potential competition, like rivalry, potential threat, or the substitutes products, and another factors from the bargaining power, buyers or suppliers. Yeah, so you can give the good analysis from these 5 factors. And if you adopt the competitive strategy analysis to decide, let you decide or not what timing is best. We know that there are the 2 sides, right? So one is cost, another one is differential product strategy, and last the analysis corporate level analysis. They based on the transaction cost. You just the balance transaction cost. If you find that you do this the transaction and the cost is lower than not doing this, so you can enter the new market. Okay, so so here 3 kinds, different kinds of analysis. Okay, so have any questions? Okay, so as you see, I use the my computer to give some explanations to Azure model. So let me show this. So later. Okay, so later. Sorry. So this one. Okay, that it is. Okay, you can see this. Okay, so why I ask a group to read the paper, and I just let you find the the key points from the paper. So they're all based on this kind of model, and just propose the new cost or the new benefits from their discussions. Okay, so maybe their discussions from the strategy analysis, maybe from some area. Okay, but anyway, and before you propose the new model based on the new discussion, you have to know the basic model. So here the basic model, Alice. Okay, so here the Azure model. So can you see the here V star is the critical point, or you can call it threshold value. The V star so equals to this one. So like yesterday, I already talked about it. How to get the form beta division by beta 1. Beta minus 1 times I. Okay, so it is not difficult to get this. And here the beta corresponding equation, quadratic equation. This quadratic equation are quite similar the equation You remember that in your junior high school, your math teacher asked you solve the quadratic equation S2 plus BS plus C equals 0. So this the solution to the quadratic equation is the minus B, positive, negative, the square roots of B squared minus 4 AC division by 2A, right? So this here the same way, right? So you see the beta, you have to find out the beta corresponding to the quadratic equation that here. So here the 1 2 sigma square similar to here A, right? So this one mu minus 1 2 sigma square quite similar to B, right? And here C is low, right? Okay, so you just use your junior high school math class, the technique can get a beta. Okay, so after you get the beta, so we know the beta is known to us, right? Okay, so so now beta to us just one parameter. Okay, one parameter composed of volatility and mean and low. Okay, and low here is the investor required rate of return. Yeah. Okay. So why I mentioned this many times? I just let you know your decision criteria different from the before. You learn from the traditional decision model. Traditional decision model tell us that we just make sure value, your investing value V exceeds I, your expenditure cost I. We do, right? We do the project, right? We accept a project, right? But now, okay, but now if we considering, we have a considering of more about the flexibility or opportunity cost. Okay, so sorry, so here let me check. So here sorry, okay, let me okay, so here your criteria, your critical point or threshold, not I, it is actually the beta division beta minus I. Okay, so the difference between the real action model and the traditional decision model, this. Okay, so beta division beta minus 1 time I is I. That means your investment critical point higher than before I. That means you will delay your investment because the cost higher than before. Okay. This is the model, the dual action model. Mostly most of the scholars use this model to evaluate value, to help them to make decisions which the timing is best. Okay, and we return to your presentation. So after your presentation, some papers you can find that they just make a little change. Where they make a little change, you can find that the little change of the I or V. Okay, so I maybe like yesterday, some group present why the company made international investment by the international MMA. So following this international MMA, we know the cost, the different, right? So here you just discuss the cost. What is the total cost composed of the MMA, and after you decide invest in foreign country. Okay, so and others the same. So you can find the critical point. Okay. Okay, so yeah, okay, this is the tokens. Okay, so any questions? No questions. We welcome the next group. Okay, thank you. The first group, your presentation. That's great. Okay. Okay, are you ready? Second group.
Yeah, we're ready.
Sorry to bother. Okay, so bother your time. Okay, so let me. Sorry. Sorry. I change. Okay. Oh, sorry. Wait. You can show your screen.
Yes, Prof. Wait.
I'll show your screen. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Okay, no problem.
So are you guys can see my screen right now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, Professor, and all of my friends. We are from Indonesia. My name Aridwi, and our group is Rastomo, Harits, Pradipta, and Wening. And now we will try to present a topic, and the title is the timing and intensity of investment under ambiguity. And we adding some literature review.
Nggak kedengeran, sumpah.
Iya. Nah itu tadi pas aku udah ngomong kayak gini guys, Jeremy kan.
Oke. Wait. Coba lagi.
So the first presenter is from Harits to present the intensity and timing of investment. Sorry, Professor, we have trouble with the microphone of Haris.
No worries.
Good afternoon to our honorable professors and lecturers, as well as our expected college. Today we're going to present our understanding of the topic that we followed on regarding investment, specifically about the timing and intensity of investment under ambiguity. Considering the investment process has so many variables and aspects to be concerned with, not only do we consider the state of investment itself based on its potential in making returns, but also the external conditions such as economic phenomenon and other uncertainties that have its own risky aspect in affecting our investment. To accommodate such calculation, we use real option approach to properly calculate our decision in investment. Since we need to highlight such level of uncertainty to our investment, the topic use latent uncertainty model to explore its effect furthermore. In this topic, the firm's assumption is in ambiguity averse mode, of which in it means computes the expected value in the worst case scenario and uses the strategy to maximize it. Next. For this topic, we use two models for our assumption, in of which it use model of irreversible investment and connection uncertainties. Next. On the first model is a model of irreversible investment. For the first model, we use irreversible investment model in our topic assumption that the real value of the investment is counted when we use it properly, or in other words, when our asset is in its production mode throughout its period, and using Brownian machine calculation to simulate its market condition. Then we add connection uncertainty calculation to our investment model to examine its effect in uncertainty condition.
So next, for the first model, we use sorry, the to counter those problems caused by uncertainties based on the model previously shown. This model depicts our frame responding to it and make an optimization within its choice in investment. Next, in this or project. Next. And its implication for the frame decision in investment based on the study model from this model found that as a level of uncertainty or ambiguity is higher, then the side frame will respond in lowering their threshold and intensity of their investment. Due to increasing volatility character of the investment, then in common sense, the side frame will not take risk any further. Next. Next. Our conclusion is that based on the topic we discussed over here is that under uncertainty of economic and other external variables that may affect our investment, firms will tend to lower its intensity and thresholds, including timing in investment due to its risky character if the firms that the project or asset that they want to invest in has higher level of ambiguity. For the next discussion, we also have 3 literatures that supports this topic idea. And the next literature, the first literature will be explained by my friends Prastomo.
Okay, thank you. The first literature review is from Denis Kapoza and Yuming Lee, and the title is The Intensity and Timing of Investment, the Case of Land. Next, please. For introduction of the paper, in this paper, they have provided a general formulation using an optimal stopping approach for analyzing the decision to replace durable capital under uncertainty while highlighting the role of variable intensity. They analyzed the most important application of the model to land conversion decision. They addressed the conversion of vacant land to urban use and the conversion of development land to an alternative use. They also considered the role of property tax in development decision under uncertainty. Next, please. Next. For the model, in this paper, they provide a general yet simple formulation of the problem using an optimal stopping framework. The model extends the analysis of durable capital investment decision. They try to categorize the value of the project, the timing of investment, and the intensity of development. They applicant to vacant land generalized earlier model of land development under uncertainty. Next. For the result, They found some of variable effect like growth, variance or uncertainty, interest rate, construction cost, and elasticity of capital. It's for the handle rent, capital intensity, price of converted, and price of convertible. So the first is growth expectation or G. If the elasticity of capital is greater than a half, which can be expected in urban area, higher growth expectation always rise the 100 rand, but if growth expectation fall, the 100 price will also fall too. The effect of change in growth expectation on the expect time of conversion are ambiguous. But in the typical case, if y more than a half will be positive, in equilibrium, property prices are higher when the growth rate is higher too. Next, please. Then is uncertainty. Higher uncertainty increase the value of the option to convert as another contingent claim model. This leads to higher reservation rate or R star, longer expectation conversion time or ET, and higher capital intensity or K star. As a result, for any given rent level or RT, the urban area will be smaller with uncertainty, and the average urban price will be higher. Notice that uncertainty raises property price or PP, even though rents are exogenous, because of the positive effect on density rising to capital intensity. Next, please. For the interest rate or R, higher intensity rate imply lower capital intensity and lower line price because of the reduced present value of future cash flow. However, interest rates have a negative effect on handle rent. This comparative static is an example of possible perceived effect of the interest rate in real option model. Or you can see the example paper from John Maney and Robert Jones in 1987 or paper from John Ingerson and Stephen Ross in 1992. Since the 100 rand fall when the interest rate rise, some projects they are undertaken after the rate increase might not have been initiated at the lower interest rate. Here, variable intensity magnifies the effect as increases in the interest rate lower the optional density or He. This reduces the option value and the 100 rand or R star. Next, please. And the next is variable cost of conversion. The variable cost of conversion does not affect the reservation rent or conversion time in this model. This is a result of unit elasticity of substitution in Cobb-Douglas production function, where change in cost of capital are exactly offset by change in amount of capital. Higher variable costs lead to lower density, which is turn lower land value. Next, please. For the output elasticity, a higher output elasticity makes it worthwhile to delay land conversion to increase spending on capital. Sin K rotates around K equal 1. A higher output elasticity may rise or lower the density of development. It always delays conversion time, and its effect on option value of the convertible land can be positive or negative. The net effect on option value is positive or negative when uncertainty is low. So next presentation will continue with our friend.
Thank you. I'm Wening. I will be explain about the second journal or second resource to support the first resource. The paper is titled with investment timing and capacity choice under uncertainty. This is a journal by Xiu Melif, Chikin, and Xiaoling Tang. There are three parts of this paper that I will be explained. The first is about the introduction. The second is the contents of paper or the contents of journal, and the last is about the conclusion. First of all, the experiment of this paper is about there are 2 points. It's about the strategy investment between 2 firms that compete for investment timing, and the second is the strategic investment between 2 firms that compete for capacity. And the 2 point is under the stochastic market demand. So, and this paper deals with investment problem in duopoly market and use product capacity to reflect its investor scale. And this case use 2 firms that must decide when to enter the market and what the capacity they should produce. Next, I will enter the content of paper. The first is about the model framework. This model comes from the redevelopment investment problem of Line in Kaboza and Lee in their paper. Kaboza and Lee explain about the cash flow is the uncertain in the whole investment process and satisfy algebra Brown motion. This is when investor make his investment strategy, he must consider not only the investment timing but also the investment scale while the latter is reflected by intensity. Next. This is the models that they explained by the writer. Is about the framework that XT will explain as the exogenous market demand shocks, and the Q explain about the total market supply, and the negative way the explain about the slope of the linear demand function and is used to reflect. Sorry, the last is about they explain the slope of their linear demand function and is used to reflect the price sensitivity on to the supply. The conclusion of this framework, the model framework, is the increase or decrease of the total market supply will cause the price to rise or fall, and indicate that the change of the market demand X will be reflected on inverse demand curve. Since the variable changes unpredictably, so the writer supposed to be involved as a geometric Brownian motion by this model framework. The mu given positive explain about the given positive constant and denotes the expected growth of X, and the sigma represents the volatility of the market demand, and the DZ explain about the n increment of a standard winner motion and denotes the resource of uncertainty. From this framework, we can know and we can the writer try to make we understand about the investor only know the current level of the market demand, while the future levels meets with a long normal distribution. In X increase at a certain growth rate, and that is distributed by a normally distributed random variable. And to guarantee that the option is exercised within a finite period of time, the writer assumed that R above by the mu. And the next content of this paper is about the investment problem in duopoly market. This is explain the strategy and how the strategy and the competitive of investment problem in duopoly market, and reflects on the stochastic market demand. It's explain how the two firms should decide not only their investment timing but also their optimal capacity, and their behavior, the competitive behavior, will be discussed from two aspects. One is about the dominant case and the other is a preemptive case. And each of them will postpone his investment action when they face the greater uncertainty with whatever role he is. This has happened because the greater uncertainty means greater risk during investment. If there is a greater uncertainty in the market, both of them will delay investment and margin of the follower will surpass that of the leader. This because the dominant leader will enjoy more monopoly profit if he takes action earlier, and he will not be reluctant to postpone investment. And the investment strategies in the preemptive case are similar to the result obtained in the dominant case. The preemptive leader and the follower will postpone their investment action when greater uncertainty exists in the market, and they will postpone time of the leader will not surpass that of the follower. And in the conclusion, investment scale should be chosen by investors themselves, because it must consider when the market is considered is considered to market to enter the market and how much production to be provided. Each of them will provide its output by lumpy investment. In the duopoly market, the leader, whether he is dominant or preemptive in the game, will make great influence on the followers' investment strategy. And when facing great uncertainty, to firm or will postpone their investment action. Meanwhile, the delayed degree on both investment timing and capacity of the followers will surpass that of the leader. The next resource will be explained by my friends.
Hello? Hello?
Ya, masuk.
Okay. Now we're going to talk about the progressive taxation and the intensity within timing of investments. Next. Within introduction, this paper examines the effect of progressive taxations on the firm's investment intensity and timing decisions using a real options approach. The firm possesses a perpetual options to invest in a project at any instant by incurring an irreversible investment cost at that time. The amount of their irreversible investment cost determines the intensity of investment that augments the value of the project. The tax progression is specified in a particular case of a constant marginal tax rate within an exogenously given tax exemptions threshold, and that makes the average tax rate increase within the tax base. Next. This module will be depicting about the firm's investment intensity, and it will be affects the value of the project where KV, where phi is larger than 0 or equal, is a state variable specifying the value of the project per unit intensity of the investment. The state of variable, which is phi, evolves over time according to following geometric Brownian motions. Next. The firm's investment timing is characterized by an endogenously constant instant, which is t is larger than 0, at which the firm pays an irreversible investment cost, depicted by L and then Q. To ensure that the optimal investment intensity, Q stars is larger than 0, exists in the presence of the investment options. We assume that the elasticity of the investment cost with respect to the investment intensity is strictly increasing in Q, such that there exists a finite point. Next.
So the firm possesses a perpetual option to invest in a project with an investment cost function. The firm's optimal investment decisions are characterized by the investment intensity and the investment trigger. The value of the firm is given by F, Q start with V, where V is the current value of the state variable. The best case parameter values are as follows. The annualized recurrence rate of interest is 5%. The constant marginal tax rate is 35%. The exogenously given tax assumption threshold is 10, and the state variable follows the geometric Brownian motion with the annualized growth rate equal to 2%. The annualized standard deviation equal to 25%, and the current value equal to 10. So the author is trying to try with the different case to measure the investment intensity, investment trigger, and the firm value. Actually, in this paper, the author used some model and some analysis tool, but it's very complex. So I will jump to the conclusion. In this paper, have examined a firm investment intensity and timing decision using a real option approach. The firm is endowed with a perpetual option to invest in a project at any instant by incurring an irreversible investment cost at a time. The amount of the irreversible investment cost, which is a choice variable of the firm, determines the intensity of investment with decreasing returns to scale. The value of the projects evolves over time according to a geometric Brownian motion and increases with an increase in the investment intensity. The firm's investment timing decision is characterized by threshold, or you can say the investment trigger, such that the project is undertaken at the first instant when the value of the project per unit intensity of investment reaches the investment trigger from below. Tax progressions is specified in a particular case of a constant marginal tax rate with an exogenously given tax assumption threshold such that the firm pays taxes to the government at the investment instant if and only if the value of the project at that time exceeds the tax assumption threshold. Within the author's real option model, this paper found that the firm's investment intensity and trigger depend on the progressive tax schedule if the exogenously given tax assumption threshold is sufficiently small. Otherwise, the tax neutrality result holds in that the firm's investment decisions are invariant. Pardon? Hello?
Hello?
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Sorry.
Yes, Prof. Okay.
Yeah. So finish all?
Not yet, sir.
Okay, sorry. Okay, because by the technical issue. Okay, to my microphone. Sorry. Okay.
Okay. Okay. The tax neutrality result holds in that the firm's investment decisions are invariant to change in the progressive tax schedule. Furthermore, in this paper, shown that progressive taxation has perverse effect on investment intensity when tax neutrality does not hold. And finally, in this paper, shown that progressive taxation dominates proportional taxation, which is the absence of any tax assumption, in that the former induced the firm to lower its optimal investment trigger, thereby encouraging earlier investment as compared to the latter. So thank you for listening.
So
Okay.
to conclude all these discussions, including the topic that we put on the discussion, which is the three literatures, we remind the audience again about the importance of firm in including uncertainties or ambiguity of the state of investment that is affected by many factors, especially external factors in their decision-making investment. All in all, it's about reducing the risk with the investment and gaining the most optimum return from it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So any questions about this presentation? Oh, okay. Okay, so this our last group. So last group is already finished. Okay, so let me check. So wait. Hello. So this is the top. This the PVD foreign direct investment hysteresis and the exchange rate. The PPT is already present.
Prof, can I share screen now?
Yeah, sure.